If you're starting Warhammer the Old World, and you're coming from Total War, you might be wondering, where are the Dark Elves, the Skaven, the Lizardmen, the Vampire Counts? Games Workshop say they, along with the Ogres, Demons, and Chaos Dwarfs, are not part of the narrative they're telling with the Old World, and have provided rather lightweight reasons as to where each of the factions are and why they aren't in-game. The Skaven are off apparently having a big civil war, the Von Carsteins are all dead, and the rest of the vampires apparently went into hiding, and the Dark Elves, Lizardmen, Chaos Dwarfs, and Ogre Kingdoms are all very far away. However, all of these armies do have current and very available ranges. So if you want to play one of these 7 legacy factions, in this video I'm going to walk you through how you can get started with each of them. I'm following the same rule set as I did from my video on the core factions. I'm making an 800 point list, going for as much value for money as possible here, whilst giving you a feel for each faction. Most of these factions you will find currently under the Age of Sigmar line, but you may need to get creative with some of them, and I'll point you in whatever direction I can. And I'm assuming you want to get the official models and aren't 3D printing. You should also be aware that most of these are Horde armies, which generally means you need to spend more on them than other armies, as you'll need more models on the board. You can currently find all of the rules for these as free downloads on the Warhammer community website, and each unit will give you the measurements of the base sizes they need, as you will need to acquire square bases for each of these separately. I would also be remiss not to mention the update that the Square Base team have put out for the Legacy factions. As there are no official planned updates for the Legacy factions, this pack provides some unofficial rules updates and clarifications. Most of the community's taken it on board and are using it. Now, let's start with the Dark Elves. Most of their units are still actually available and are currently under the Cities of Sigmar range. In fact, most of them have photos of them still on their square bases. However, as they aren't a mainline range, they don't have any discount boxes currently. But the good news is they're actually kind of newer sculpts on the grand scheme of things. They're younger than the 40k Drakari range, so they do hold up well. So for most of your core, you'll want a mix of crossbowmen and Dark Elf warriors. I'd get 20 of each, and give the Dark Elf warriors a thrusting spear, as that allows them to fight in extra rank, alongside a full command. I'd get yourself a sorceress so you can get some magic going. There is a straight up sorceress model, although if you want something different, you can just go and look at the Daughters of Cain line. I would then grab 2 Scourge Runner chariots. Now you can use one to make a high Beastmaster and run the other as a regular chariot. Make the sorceress a level 2 wizard, and that will give you 35 points to spend on magic items. Okay, for the Skaven, they've got a super new range, so let's use the Skaven Spearhead here. This will take you to 540 points. You'll have your Grey Seer Wizard, and they'll be a level 3 wizard. That's a bit overtuned, but hey, everything else in the army folds like paper. You've then got 20 Clan Rats, and you'll need at least another box of them, alongside a unit of 10 Storm Vermin. The Storm Fiends in the box you can use as Rat Ogres. You'll then need to grab a Warlock Engineer to use alongside the Warp Lightning Cannon. That will take you to around 760 points, so you've again got a bit of room for magic items. Right, the Vampire Counts, who are my favourites, and the one I was most upset about not making the cut. The vampires are all about big characters as beatsticks, with loads and loads of chaff. You need a wizard to lead the force, using their necromantic energy. So if you can grab the current Soulblight Gravelord Spearhead box, you'll make a unit of 20 skeletons, and I'd go again with thrusting spears, building the Vargeist as Crypt Ghouls, and the Blood Knights as a no-frills unit of Blood Knights, as they're 195 points. And then take the Vampire on foot in the box as a Vampire Thrall, and that'll take you to 530 points. However, that is out of stock in a few places, So it might be worth hitting go on that now if you are thinking about it, as it's being replaced with a new spearhead box, which is much more skeletal in its vibe. Now, if you do want to go for this one, I'd build all of these out with full command, spears on the regular skeletons, with the great weapons over the sword and board on the Graveguard. You'll also get the White King, who is just one of my favorite models and is just full of character. And I think regardless of which way you go, you need a necromantic acolyte in there to cast your Invocation of Nehek, your vampire healing spell. And make sure it's a level 2 wizard and takes the Scepter of Denoiro, allowing you to cast your invocation twice and watch your opponent cry. Regardless of which way you go, I grab a pack of direwolves and then round out the White King list by bumping your Black Knights up to a unit of 10. And for the list with the Vampire Thrall, buff that Vampire Lord with vampiric powers and magic items. Taking Lord of the Night and Supernatural Horror will make it a real fun wolf babysitter. Right, Chaos Demons. This one doesn't really have an easy in box-wise. You basically need to pick a god, Slanesh for speed, Nurgle for grind, Khorne for smashing stuff, Tzeentch for magic, and build out from there. I'm not going to give you specifics with these guys, more a formula. I think you want to start by grabbing a Demon Prince, then make it aligned to a god, and make it a level 2 wizard, making it a 335 point beatstick. Then for the core, grab 2 units worth of your god's cavalry, and then 200 points worth of the god's special units, like the Slanesh Fiends. That'll take you up to around 700 points depending on which way you go, and then you can beef up your Demon Prince with some magic weapons, or maybe get some other chaff units for your army. Okay, Ogre Kingdoms, the last army to be added to Warhammer Fantasy. Unfortunately, the Ogre Mawtribe Spearhead looks like it's been discontinued as of recording. So you've got a bit of freedom here, but not much in the way of a discount box. Quick editor's note, as I was editing this video, I've seen that for the Ogres and Lizardmen, that there are in fact new Spearhead boxes coming for them. I've addended them with points on how to use these after their segments. You'll need a unit of Ogre Bulls, which are now called Gluttons, and they come in a pack of 6. You can then grab a unit of 4 Iron Guts, 4 Lead Belchers, and then you'll need a Fire Belly as your wizard, and a Tyrant model to take as your Bruiser. That'll take you to 760 points, but it doesn't give you much room to play around with points or command units, so you may need to make some units smaller to add some of those extras in. For the new Ogre Kingdoms Spearhead box, you'll get 617 points base in this new box. It comes with 8 Iron Guts, 10 Noblars, a Hunter, and a Noblar Skylobber. But you'll still need to get a Tyrant or a Bruiser to lead the force. And then you'll still need to grab some Ogre Bulls as they're mandatory for the Ogre Kingdoms list. Next up, Lizardmen. So the actual Seraphon Spearhead here is buck wild. Your leader is just going to be straight up riding a Carnosaur, which is effectively a dragon in a small scale game. So you may want to tone this one down when starting out, as it will feel like you're bringing a bazooka to crack a nut. But if you do want to make people cry, make it a Saurus Scar Veteran, and then have it ride the Carnosaur. Build out the Saurus with thrusting spears and Croxagors with command units, and that'll take you up to 575 points. You then have a choice to make. Continue with the idea of being a to your friends, and you've only got 150 or so points to make up. Grab another unit of Saurus and you're good. Or drop the Carnosaur, grab a wizard in the form of a Skink Priest, and then a light harassment unit in the form of Carmelian Skinks, and go make friends and have fun. Side note, I've never actually been much of a Lizardmen person, but this list does actually look really fun. Who knew dinosaurs were fun? For the Lizardmen's new Spearhead, you'll get 10 Saurus, 10 Skinks, a Salamander with 3 Handlers, and then a Saurus Scar Veteran. You'll also get 3 unridden Pterodactyls that don't have any
official transition to Old World, but you could use them as jungle swarms. And then there are 2 guard that come with the Scar Veteran that you might want to save to use as special leaders or something like that. This comes to about 490 points and is probably a bit more balanced to build from than the current Spearhead box, but I think if you can still grab the current one, it's really good value for money.
Right, last and certainly craziest, the Chaos Dwarfs. Now, if you don't have access to a 3D printer, this is literally getting into Old World on nightmare mode. So I'm just going to assume that you're all in here, you don't care about money, have forgotten that Etsy is a thing, and we're just going to do this one for fun, so let's go. So what you're going to do here is you're going to go to the Blood Bowl site and grab 2 copies of the Chaos Dwarf Blood Bowl team, and we're going to just pretend that they're carrying great weapons. I mean, those beards look like they could break some skulls, right? That'll also give you 16 Hobgoblin Cutthroats, which is great, alongside 2 spare dwarfs that you can just put on some rocks to make yourself a Seneschal and a Sorcerer. Then you're going to grab 3 copies of Hthark, the Unstoppable, to run as a 3-body unit of Bull Centaurs, and just tell everyone that they exist on some different material plane. Okay, that's all the Chaos Dwarfs currently available. We're just going to pad this out with a Black Orc War Boss, which will unlock you being able to run Black Orcs, so we'll just make a unit of 10 of them, and then we're just going to imagine a world in which you could turn this realistically into a 2,000 point force. So, with all those lists, is there actually anything wrong with playing them? And why haven't these factions actually been brought into the game? Well, that last question is actually a bit of a controversial one, and I'm going to steer away from any controversy, as that's not what I'm here for, and stick with what has been said on official channels and what we can logically assume. So my nice milquetoast view is that launching 18 Rangers afresh was seen as a difficult target to achieve properly and do in one sitting from the small specialist design studio team that are making this game. All of the legacy factions, except for the Chaos Dwarfs currently, do have accessible Rangers over in AOS, where we built most of these lists from, whereas most of the core faction model ranges were removed. I can tell you that trying to get a hold of some of the official Wood Elf models before they've been made officially available has actually been a bit of a nightmare. And no, I didn't want 3D printed ones for half of them, and it's just not my preference. Not that I'm against 3D printing, I just like the official models. So is there anything wrong with playing these factions? Well, only if you have a burning desire to play them at an official Warhammer World tournament. There you won't be allowed, they're banned. Other than that, every tournament I've heard of welcomes and actively encourages players bringing them. The big issue you will find is that for the moment, they aren't receiving any official support, aside from an occasional FAQ and the aforementioned square-based sheet. That means no arcane journals or other ways to run these lists outside of the basics. For the moment, I think it's extremely likely that most, if not all, of the legacy factions will make an appearance. Heck, a Chaos Dwarf just won gold at Adepticon Golden Demon. Chaos Demons will need to be around for the Siege of Prague, and now Cathay have arrived from the other side of the world. It kind of makes a mockery of the whole being far away and turns it into a bit of a moot point. Legacy factions might not be front and center, but they've still got teeth. So if one of them speaks to you, build it, paint it, play it. They're not dead. They're just waiting in the wings. Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like, and please consider subscribing to the channel.
A massive thanks to the Tabletop Parlor members for supporting this video.
A massive shout out to the latest member of the Credits Collective, Daniel Maiko.
You can get your name in the credits from just £3 a month over on my Patreon, where you'll also get early access to videos, full interviews, competitions, and more. I've got a Blue Sky account as well if you'd like to follow me on there for more. And if you want to keep watching, something should be popping up on screen now.